Hi, my name is Kaylee Roth, and this is my presentation on Catherine the Great, and how her art impacted her legacy and how she used her patronage as a tool politically. After orchestrating a coup against her husband, Catherine the Great rose to power in Russia. Her reign as empress lasted 34 great years as she expanded Russia's borders and sought to modernize her empire through Enlightenment ideals. Unlike many monarchs of the time, Catherine actively participated in intellectual and social change. It was something very important to her, and she saw great promise in these ideas. And, through this, she was using art as a tool of diplomacy and power projection. She was very fascinated with European art and ideas. And with her own agency, she began to explore these ideas and collect works of art under that umbrella, under the Enlightenment European art umbrella. Her patronage, as I previously stated, was used as a political tool, and she used it masterfully, and I will discuss all of that over the course of this presentation. Catherine the Great commissioned several portraits, like many rulers of the time throughout her reign. As discussed previously in this course, a portrait goes far beyond the image. Iconography is very important, and iconographically, these portraits were able to create a regal and modern presence of power that would forever be associated with her name. And through extravagant robe and dress, heavy jewelry adornment, the imperial crown, and even the environments in which she was portrayed in, she was able to create this image and representation of herself. So if we go back a couple of slides right here, this image is a great example. Her spotted ermine robe is not only a symbol of purity, that's seen throughout Europe, but it represents her vast control over her territories and natural bounty. And she also has this jewelry that's draped across her chest. It actually represents military badges of honor, and this highlights her military and civic authority. So also her imperial crown and the colors used, all of this, when it all comes together, it further emphasizes how she uses the idea and the method of portraiture and art to express and reinforce her power and status at the time. And she didn't just commission portraits, she commissioned several other works that are more complex in composition and kind of represent scenes. The one I really want to focus on is at the top, and it's also the background of this presentation. This is, I would say, by far my favorite work that I found that she had commissioned. Compositionally, it is just so well done. It has this grand feeling to it, and I think it absolutely knocks it out of the park with what she's trying to do through her patronage. This piece by Torelli Stefano is titled Allegory of Catherine the Great's Victory over the Turks and Tatars. This was painted in 1772, and it was commissioned to glorify the victory of the Russian army in the First Russo-Turkish War. Catherine the Great is portrayed right in the center as the goddess Minerva, and she is sat in a triumphal chariot. This blending of classical motifs and contemporary politics. This piece is able to reflect Catherine's broader use of the arts to legitimize her reign, as she not only aligns herself with the goddess of wisdom, justice, and law, and victory, Minerva, but also using propaganda to construct the narrative of a victorious and enlightened empire. And, as you look At the time, if I had looked at this and I was from somewhere else, I'd be like, dang, they're cool. Like, that's sick. Like, they're powerful. So I think, through her commissioned works, she really was able to, pun not intended, maybe it is intended, but paint this image of herself and her empire. But honestly, arguably one of Catherine the Great's greatest contributions to the art scene is the Hermitage collection and museum. It started off as a private collection of Catherine's, but soon it became open to the public as one of the world's first public art collections. I mean, this was groundbreaking at the time. The Hermitage housed, and still houses, over 4,000 paintings, 10,000 drawings, thousands of sculptures and books. She preserved them for generations to come. You can still go and visit this collection. It's still there. If you're ever in the neighborhood of Russia, you can go visit it. And preserving these for generations to come, it also helped elevate Russia as a major cultural power. And even within the building, it was beyond just a collection. There's also a theater in there, and she would host theatrical events. There were, areas for social events to be held. So she really created this hub of the arts for people, whether, even before, it was open to the public, she would invite people to these events. And it just became a hub, and it became this symbol of Russia's cultural power and how important it was to her. And within the Hermitage, obviously the collection, she really focused and attempted to collect a variety of pieces and media to be added into her collection. She didn't just focus on one thing. She acquired, as I previously stated, the sculptures and the paintings and the drawings, but she also had jewelry, tapestries, manuscripts, and even so much more. It's a huge collection. And she also acquired works from very famous and big artists that are even still known today. Artists like Rembrandt, which his painting, Young Woman with Earrings, is pictured right there in the top right. Raphael, Van Dyck, and Titian, they all had works in this, and I'm sure that's, that there's so many other artists that, have had such an impact to have works in here. She also had a dedicated hall to classical sculpture. She had that hall at the top where it's paintings up the walls to the ceilings. She even had this one work, which I included it because I thought it was really interesting, and it's the peacock clock. It's in the bottom right, and this actually is a mechanical feature where the head of the peacock moves, and I just thought that stood out from lots of the other works that you'll see in this collection. And interesting enough, like, one of Catherine's longtime lovers at the time helped her acquire this piece of work, which leads me into discussing, how she had so many different ways of gathering these works. There wasn't any one way. She would acquire and purchase entire private collections, and she did that often, actually. She hired art scouts and would send them to Europe and just be like, go find me something and bring it back to me. She received work as gifts, and then, as I've previously discussed in detail, she also commissioned plenty of works. But through this, as you might assume, she spent serious amounts of money, and this definitely caused some discourse and controversy, even among the elite. I mean, overall, among the elite, her efforts were received pretty well. She made the royal court look sophisticated and refined, which is great. They were like, okay, we look cool. But, some did feel that she was spending excessive amounts of money on foreign art, rather than supporting their own empire internally. she really did find herself super enwrapped in European work. She opened a school that taught European ways of art to Russian artists. She was trying to create her own European artists. And I mean, just like all of this obsession wasn't really super received well, especially, among the general population. They kind of felt like that it was pretty out of touch. And, the lower class never saw any benefit from these cultural endeavors, which, all is common theme among history, but they felt like they were chopped liver. They felt like, okay, she cares about that painting more than she cares about us. I also think it's, as we talk about the people's opinion, I think it's important to note her gender. As a female ruler, obviously her sex, her gender is going to come into, every conversation about her. And it definitely did impact some opinions, and she definitely had to work a lot harder to create a more positive kind of reflection of herself. But some critics were really accusing her of things. And one critic that I found, he not only was like, she's using the art as a tool, but she also accused her of using people as tools, which honestly I don't think that's that shocking. We use people as tools all the time. But I thought that this one little excerpt that I found was pretty interesting and almost comical in the way that he expresses his opinion. So I'm just going to read it really, really quick. All right, here we go. The Empress thinks it is sufficient happiness to be permitted to serve her, and that it is recompense enough to have the honor which she supposes it should be reckoned. And when she has made what use she wanted of anyone or of which she thought him capable, she does with him as we do an orange. After sucking out the juice, we throw the peel out the window. He just sounds salty to me, personally. I feel, especially that opinion, and the reason I really shared that was just kind of, that opinion. If the roles were reversed and she was a man, I don't think that they would have really even spoken about that. I think it's just because, she's a woman, they're gonna pick apart everything that she does. But despite all of that, though, despite all of this controversy, despite these critics spewing these things about her, she was still very well respected and supported and seen as a powerful and intelligent ruler, which, I guess she was doing something right. And this art and her collections, it only further, emphasized, this, opinion, and especially this opinion, that opinion being amongst the entire world. I think it's very important to understand how much her art collections truly created this reflection of Russia to the rest of the world at the time. So, all in all, Catherine the Great transformed Russia politically, intellectually, and artistically. Through her patronage, she used art as a language of power and legitimacy. Turning the Hermitage into a monument of enlightened absolutism was just an incredible move on her part. Her reign demonstrates how cultural ambition can reinforce political authority, and honestly, this presentation, it barely scratches the surface. So I really hope that I have started to help you gain a greater understanding and appreciation for Catherine the Great and her artistic patronage, but I also really hope that this presentation kind of encourages you and inspires you to look more into her, because, especially for me as a woman, seeing, someone like her be so successful in a time like that. I mean, it's incredibly inspiring, and she is truly this monumental figure in history. And so I really do hope that you find yourself looking more into her and learning more about her history. So thank you so much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.